Game 3, about 3 hours away. Bull, how you feeling?
I feel great. And I know there's a lot of anxiety, and maybe I'm trying to tamp it down because I know when I sit home, like everybody else, I'm going to be stressed out watching the game, and, especially until they hopefully take a lead. But, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you could point to in the first 2 games, especially Game 2, and say, well, they can't hit, they can't. Things change in a hurry in the playoffs, and you're Tarek Skubal is one of one in Major League Baseball right now, and just the fact that you don't have to face him is going to make everybody relax a little bit. Mm-hmm. I get it. The Tigers have taken home field advantage. They won a game where you were like, we survived Skubal, it's 0-0. Now we got the edge in the bullpen, and it didn't pan out that way. But I still think when all is said and done, the Guardians are the better team, and I expect them to take care of business. Home or road, doesn't matter to me. I think
I'm still with you. Less confident, but I still believe that the Guardians are the better team, not by much.
And the better team doesn't always win.
They don't. And now the fact that it's a 3-game series and the Tigers have home field, and it's not just they have home field. They have Cy Young ready to fire in Game 3 should it get to Cleveland.
Game 5.
Game 5, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm looking at it as a Game
3 of the remaining games.
Of the remaining games.
Yes.
So all that being said, I told G on Monday before I picked the Tigers to beat us, I said momentum is the next day's starting pitcher. And Detroit clearly has it. The 7 runs that the Guardians scored, they didn't get them against Skubal.
Nope.
And they don't have Bybee going. So I felt that the Tigers had momentum. And I have to stick to my guns. That being said, when you and I know that the starters aren't going to have a lot to do with this game. They're going to be the starters, but you win games with who you have at the end in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much how it works. All that being said, I like the Guardians starter more than I like the Tigers starter. You'd be crazy not to.
Yeah.
Alex Cobb is a Bulldog competitor who has basically, and this is a bad comparison, but I can't think of anybody that I want to make it with, so I'll make it with Dan Marino. Dan Marino, early in his career, year 2, I think, found himself in the Super Bowl and felt like, oh, okay, cool. Got the formula, got it figured out. I'll win one down the road. I'll get back to many. He never did. Alex Cobb was in the playoffs at 25. Great young arm. Had 2 starts for the Rays and pitched very well in both. Won one of them. Pitched
against
very
the Guardians, against the Indians.
Yes. And the thought for him was, 25, I'll be back here every year.
Yeah.
He's 36. 11 years has slipped away. And when you get to a point in your career as a pitcher at 34 or 35, when you're way closer to the end than the beginning, you start wondering, oh my God, did I blow my only chance, my only opportunity? And now here he is, kind of like Joe Flacco last year. Joe was on the couch. Joe thought his career was over. And he woke up from the dream, and suddenly the dream was his reality. Oh my God, I've got a helmet on, I'm a starter, and I've got a chance. And he made it back to the playoffs. I think that's Alex Cobb on a lesser degree. He wasn't a Super Bowl winner and then went for a long drought. Mm-hmm. But he had a taste of it. He was intoxicated by it. And he's been without a drink for 11 years. And today, a major league umpire is going to give him the baseball and say, Alex, you're not dreaming. You've got your mulligan.
And by the way, hopefully that home plate umpire will be better than the last
one. My God.
That strike 3, I mean, he was inconsistent for both teams.
To end the game, it was awful.
That strike 3 to David Fry to end the game was one of the worst
4 inches
strikes
low
I've ever seen. I thought it was more than that.
By the way, I'm sure he hates me because we were literally in the suite that he had to walk through. And I was like, it was 4 inches low. Where's your date? And when I asked him where his date was, he kind of chuckled. Because I know he heard me. I was 10 feet. I was from me to you away from him. That was... I didn't have a monitor. I didn't get turned around to the monitor to see it. Yeah. I didn't need to.
I think you're being generous saying 4 inches.
I don't know. I don't know what the monitor showed. It was down here.
Not even close.
And granted, he was calling a low strike all day.
Yeah.
And so you know that as a hitter, but you're not swinging at that. Even 0-2 to end the game, you're not going to swing at that.
No. If Jose Ramirez don't play ball, they're going home. I'm saying that right now.
So it's all in his hands then.
They got to have the best players playing their best. Where's Naylor at? Where's Josh Naylor? Where's Jose at?
You're
so
right.
when you go on the road, I know that we like to put it on the pitchers, and we had Boyd and we got Cobb, and they trying to figure some stuff out.
Yeah, no, the top of the lineup's got to get it done.
But let me ask you this,
y'all
G,
got to get it.
And you guys weigh in too. sometimes when players hear that, and he was hearing the noise, he knows he's a 240 playoff hitter, and he's not a 240 hitter. He knows he hasn't had great playoff success. To me, watching him in his first 2 bats, I said, oh, he's hearing the noise. He's chasing at pitches he never swings at.
He got it. You know, I get it.
The pressure got to him, I feel.
I understand. But, you know, when you look at these other teams and you look back and you say, okay, well, how did the Tigers win? Well, the bottom of their order did some stuff. And their guy that they knew that they were banking on, Scooble, came in and did what he did.
And was him.
And it was that guy. They got to have these dudes be them. You can't
100%.
count on
I agree.
the Frys and the Freemans and all these.
I mean, the top of the lineup did their job in the first game.
And they won 7-0.
Right? They all got on base, they scored 5 runs, and they took care of business. And then Fry came through again later. The top of the lineup accounted for all the runs in the first game.
Yep.
You know, obviously nobody did well against Scooble, you know, and you might have to face him again, and if you do, you're going to have to do better. But I like their chances much better against some of the guys they're going to face the next 2 days.
There you go.
You confident, Dustin? You think they're going to win today?
I am, and I pretty much in my mind conceded game 2 to thought this was going to be 1-1 going back to Detroit, and they're probably going to close it out in Detroit on tomorrow night, Thursday night.
And if they win game 3, you're going to feel real good because Bybee will be going game 4.
100%. So, no, I'm very confident. Today's obviously today's bigger than tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
Are you concerned at all that Cobb has been essentially in mothballs?
Yes.
See, that doesn't bother me.
I'm not, like, panicked about it, but
Right.
it's a little thing hanging out
when
there.
he has pitched, and it's been very limited, he's looked like Alex
has.
Cobb. He looked like the guy who was an all-star last
his
year.
first start.
Well,
he was a little...
He was iffy. But after that, and
great.
as far as the injury goes, like, I've developed blisters on fingers, always happens in the first month of the season, because you can't train for that. You're not, even if you're throwing 60 pitches in a bullpen, you're not putting the torque and the spin that creates the blister on your lead or middle finger. When it develops, you hope one thing doesn't happen. Just don't pop. Mm-hmm. And then you hope that after you're done, you can pop it, Neo, Band-Aid, got a week to get it better.
Right.
He had to pitch through his, and he couldn't. That's behind him. It's not like he had an elbow or a shoulder.
Sure,
it's a lack of use injury that hopefully the Guardians did with him like they did with Quan and said, err on the side of caution, shut him down, let that finger completely heal so he's ready when we need him in October.
And he's going to have a short leash out there. So if he gets into some trouble, he's not giving up 5 runs.
Oh, God, no.
Don't be surprised if they have Gavin Williams ready to back him up. He hasn't pitched in this series at all.
That is crazy. He's pitched how many games?
Jay, let me ask you a question real quick.
Go ahead.
Cobb hasn't pitched since September 1st.
Right.
Like, that was his last start. It's been over a month.
That's scary.
38 days.
Well, he pitched in the minors.
That's
No,
scary.
but I'm saying
That's
from a
scary.
major league.
It doesn't worry me at all.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just asking from a standpoint. I know he's had some simulated games. He's thrown. It's not like he hasn't thrown a ball.
Right.
And he is a veteran, 35. I think he's 35, right?
Yep. He's been there.
It's not like he hasn't pitched in the
Might be
playoffs before.
36.
But considering the fact it has been legitimately 30-plus days, almost 40 days, since he's thrown a meaningful MLB-level game, is the first inning the one you don't have any real worries, but the first inning is
Oh, my God.
It always is for me.
The first
Okay.
batter.
I always look at the first inning, how many pitches they throw.
Yep.
Are they 2-1 strikes to balls? That's where you want to live. When you see a guy 20 pitches and he's 11 strikes and 9 balls in the first inning and there's 1 out, hit the panic button.
Yeah, you'll have a reliever warming up already.
They'll get loose if that is the scenario. So the 35 or 38 days of inactivity doesn't bother me at all because he's a veteran. He knows how to pitch. The way I would look at it is, oh my God, my arm hasn't felt this strong since February.
Right.
I'm healthy. I'm clean. I've got no dings. Let's go.
But could he get out there overthrowing a little bit?
It could happen.
So fresh.
It could happen. I think if that happens, you'll see a visit early from Carl
right.
Willis, and he'll say, look, you're overthrowing right now.
Yeah.
Settle down. But what I like about him is he's a veteran, and he's a bulldog.
He is.
This guy is a battler, just as Scooble was in Game 2. And
he was an all-star last year.
He
so
was.
He's coming,
he had a no-hitter with 2 outs in the 9th against the Reds last year.
But we did see it. And obviously, he's a young pitcher, his first playoff experience. But Bybee in Game 1, he was overamped in that first game.
And the first inning got a little dicey.
Right, his fastball was really high.
Way high. And that's what happens when you're overamped.
Yeah.
Just like a quarterback in football,
Yeah.
he'll come in off the bench, sail a few high.
Yeah.
It's because your adrenaline
Yeah.
is higher than it normally is, and you have to settle down. And that's what Carl Willis is for.
Yeah.
If that happens, he'll recognize it immediately.
If he gets hit
Carl
hard.
will take a slow walk out there and say, all right, look, reboot. Let's
Yeah.
Control-Alt-Delete. You're overthrowing the baseball. Get back into your rhythm. Get back into your release point, and let's go.
If he gets hit, and Class A got hit, and people second guessed, do you think they're setting themselves up for a second guessing if he hasn't?
But good managers don't care about that.
No, they don't.
I mean, if you haven't, I wish I had y'all stomach because 40 days and no pitching, and then you're like, oh, yeah.
No,
If
he
he-
pitched. He threw in the minors.
He threw in the minors, but what
This
people are going to
leverage.
say is, why didn't they pitch Ben Lively this week? He's been good all year.
Well, listen, the day
Yeah.
you left him off your playoff roster, you
Yeah.
opened yourself up for
Yes.
potential, a torrent of criticism.
still
Right,
don't
but
understand
I
that.
don't care. And, to me, the manager's got to believe in it, and I don't care. He can't care about what the media thinks or anybody else thinks.
I still don't like. Okay, like you're
He's not one of your best 12 pitchers.
you're assuming
Yes.
that he's going to be ready. Now we know the minors is not high leverage pitches. Every one of these pitches he's
No,
going to
that's
throw
true.
is
Yeah.
high leverage.
You're right, but here's what they decided as an organization. They trusted Alex Cobb to start a playoff game more than Ben Lively.
That was it.
So when so at that point, they
But I
said,
would have been fine with Lively being there for long relief out of the
right,
pen.
Jay, but here's what they decided. And the reason they kept Cantillo and they kept Gavin Williams is because those guys have better stuff than Ben Lively.
That's true.
And they're like, well, that stuff's going to play out of the bullpen more, whereas Ben Lively's got to kind of find his rhythm. And Cantillo specifically is a lefty. The Tigers have a lot of left-handed
And that's
hitters,
why the move was made.
And that's why they did it.
That's why they
I
did
think
it.
if they go to the next round, I wouldn't be surprised if Lively's
I wouldn't either.
back
I said
on
that
the
Monday.
roster.
I wouldn't be surprised
Especially
at all.
because
if
in the
he's
next
added.
round, you're probably going to use 4 starters.
I like.
You're still looking at if it's the Yankees. Who knows? The Royals look like
1-1 there.
Yeah.
Hey, Class A got
And
the
the
best-
Royals blew game 1.
And what are the Dodgers? 1-1. And
No, Padres are up 2-1. Mets are up 2-1.
wow. So
Yeah.
you've got the two big payrolls. The two teams.
Well, the
that-
Mets still have a big payroll too.
I know, but all season long, everybody's been looking at the Dodgers and the Phillies going, well,
Yeah.
there's your NLCS.
Right.
How ironic
Especially
that both
the
of them
Phillies.
now
I mean-
face back-to-back elimination games.
Yeah, especially the Phillies. The Dodgers have had a ton of injuries.
They have,
So
yeah.
I'm not that surprised, but the Phillies being down 2-1. But although I picked the Guardians-Mets World Series before the playoffs started.
You know what this all adds up to me, Bull?
Yeah.
We've said this and been in step with one another on this.
Yeah.
This is such a winnable
Oh,
year
my God.
to get the World
That's why
Series.
this is going to be crushing if
This-
they do lose this series.
And that's why my
Because
biggest
it's right
fear was
there,
Detroit.
especially with the Phillies.
If Detroit spoils this for us,
Yeah.
I won't have a stomach for that.
Oh,
This is
won't.
pivotal.
I can't even imagine.
This is pivotal.
You got to win. Obviously, nobody's going to
one-
like their chances if they lose today.
Let's win
We all-
tonight.
I think we
Let's
all
just win
we're
tonight.
all saying that
Please
they
get
do
this
win
done.
Game 3.
I believe they
Right.
will, yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Baseball.
Oh, sorry.
very
I didn't
close.
mean to cut you off. Finish.
That's
finish
all
your
right.
point.
No, I was just saying, it's baseball. You never know.
It's very
It's-
tough to predict these things.
You know, it's not like football or basketball. The team you expect to win is not always, but
More
in
often.
football and basketball in the playoffs,
Yeah.
the team you expect to win, or from a basketball perspective, win the series, more often than not wins that series.
Right.
In baseball, it doesn't happen that way.
People have
Not
fallen into
nearly
the
as
trap
often.
that the Tigers are the Tigers. And I say,
They're a different baseball team
You are
now.
what you've done in your last 60 games,
Yeah.
and no one's been better.
No, they've played
been
great.
number one.
Yeah.